Yo guys, what's up? This is Sub LBC here, coming back at you, making another video update here. And in the next few videos, I'm going to be doing pretty much going to be talking about subjects, also reviewing little previews for sublbc.com version 2.0. Really just trying to bolster, a little bit of hype and get the pot stirring for the big release. Because I know a lot of you guys out there probably are not that terribly excited. You're like, whoa, another website, whatever, who gives a shit? But to me, this is a pretty big deal. A lot of work has been going into this, and I want to make sure that this thing can definitely take off because I believe that it's much higher reaching potential than what we've been dealing with at the current sublbc.com, which, by the way, is going to be shut down officially at the changeover. So the moment the new sublbc.com goes live, the old sublbc.com will be wiped away. And yeah, so if there's any information or whatever you guys want to retrieve, or if that's the only way you know how to contact somebody, or for whatever reason you guys got to take care of your business, and then that's it, guys. Old sublbc.com is gone. New sublbc.com version 2.0 will be here. Now, in this video, I'm really going to be spending some time picking up on the last video that I did of this type. The whole end of cannabis and freedom, which was probably one of my most controversial videos. Actually, not my most controversial. One of my most, though. Definitely one of my most heavily commented on. It seemed to, piss a lot of people off and whatnot. And this video is going to be doing more of the same. I'm not making this video as any kind of retraction, but to really bring the issue home about the fallacy that is the medical cannabis movement and how much of a joke it is. And how much I think that people that still use the terminology or believe it's a legitimate movement in any way, shape, or form, you guys just need to wake the fuck up, and see what the hell is going on. You literally, if you cannot see how much of a joke the medical cannabis movement is, yeah, I don't really know what else to say. But hopefully some of the things that I talk about here will help some of those that are on the fence at least try to see it the way that it really is. And that's the way that I see it, guys. So here goes. A lot of people were getting very annoyed with me not wanting to grant the label of medicine to cannabis. You know what I'm saying? And, I'm going to kind of dive into anecdote here a little bit, and then we'll try to focus the discussion a little bit more. But I want to say that I always get irritated. This hasn't happened at all recently, of course, but, back in the day or whenever, when you'd sit down with a group of people, some that you may have never smoked before. And then, you have like one dipshit out of the group that's like, yeah, I like to medicate and, this is my medicine. And they always like to use that hot word terminology. And it's always bothered me, since the very beginning when I started smoking, like I think that the term, it didn't really begin becoming popular until after, the legalization. I mean, I'm sure there were some old school hippies that, some spiritual medicine, and they may have known some of its properties, but for the most part, you didn't really have younger people that were getting bud at dispensaries for the first time, referring to it as medicine, you know what I'm saying? Because everything had gone legal, everything had to be called medicine, and that was just kind of the hot terminology. But there were some out there that really took it seriously, like, it's a medicine, and when I smoke, I medicate, and I just always, all laughed inside. It's like, yeah, I go home and I crack that beer, and I'm going to medicate too, I mean, because my reasons for using were basically that, you experiment with a whole bunch of different types of drugs, and then you realize that a great majority of the drugs that you take are just things that you don't want to keep taking, and sure, you get great mind altering experiences, and sometimes you go out and party, but at the end of the day, when you get older, you really can't keep doing these things. And if you're going to continue to do a drug, it's going to have some kind of lasting benefit to justify its use, really, and it definitely can't be a detriment, because then you're just not going to be able to function in society. And, marijuana has definitely proved that to me. You know what I'm saying? It opens up my thought patterns, allows me to relax, and it doesn't hinder me from really doing anything except for maybe maintaining a good exercise and diet regimen. That's about the extent, of the worstness of it. But I take great offense when it's referred to as a medicine. Now, I will accept that cannabis has medicinal value, but there's a big fucking difference between medicinal value and an actual medicine, at least in my eyes, okay? And let me try to explain a little bit on this one. So, medicinal value. Well, that's pretty nebulous. It doesn't really. I mean, medicinal value. I mean, let's look at what things have been considered medicinally valuable throughout history. Recent history. Back on the battlefields of the Civil War, people getting shot up. In basic standoffs, 100,000 men on a battlefield, and you're about to get your leg chopped off, and there's no type of anesthesia or any real advanced pain medication, no morphine, anything like that. So whiskey, alcohol, hard alcohol was, basically the medicine of the day. And you get just drunk as you quickly can, and they get ready to saw off that leg or saw off that arm. So by the strictest definition, whiskey had medicinal value. Okay. There's a lot of things which, if you look up the word medicinal, what does it mean? Well, it's all about the improvement of, health, essentially. It's very, very closely tied to health. There's all kinds of things that you can do which will better your health, but you don't refer to them as being medicines per se, like dietary supplements. Are those medicines? Do they improve your health? Sure. You know what I'm saying? There's all kinds of things that you can do to improve your health, but they might have medicinal value in the strictest definition, but they are not medicines at all whatsoever. And cannabis is clearly not a medicine at all whatsoever. None, okay? Medicines are basically things, the way I look at it is that you become sick and you need to take something to essentially cure a disease or to keep you alive. Like, you don't take it, you're going to die, okay? A good example would be if you get some kind of crazy infection, you're injured or, STD or something, I don't know, but some kind of infection that's going to really fuck your shit up, okay? You take the antibiotic, which kills the infection, and then when the infection's gone, you don't take it anymore. That's a perfect example of a medicine, okay? If you have HIV, or AIDS in the advanced stages or whatever, and you need to take these crazy tonics of medications just to keep your immune system up enough so you can just remain alive, that is a medicine, okay? Basically, any kind of thing you can take where you don't have to keep taking it over and over and over again, in my eyes, is a true medicine, and this basically is going to revolve mostly around antibiotics, heart medications, anything that has to do with, say, vaccinations, against smallpox, polio, those are medicines. They prevent disease, they completely can eradicate disease, or they will absolutely keep you alive and you will not have any chance of living if you don't take these drugs. Another example of a medicine would be chemotherapy, all right? You have cancer, all right? And you have to undergo some form of chemotherapy, whether it be chemical, radiation therapy, whatever it may be. But if all things go well, you take that therapy and the cancer goes away. You don't have to take that therapy anymore. Now, of course, there's a risk for your cancers to come back. But for all intents and purposes, for that specific fight, the cancer is gone. You don't have to keep taking the medicine. The hair grows back. Hopefully you can go on with your life. Cannabis, in no way, shape, or form, in my opinion, can be classified as a medicine. Now, here's the point where all the Rick Simpson fucking morons are going to jump in and, Rick Simpson cures cancer, and then everyone's going to talk about the anecdote where, they have some patient, quote unquote, of theirs that is, taking it for cancer reasons. And I want to make this quite clear that, I know that there are some people that take advantage of cannabis for their medicinal value. I'm never denying that. Only denying its ultimate classification as a medicine, and more specifically, its right to be legalized based on its legitimacy as a medicine, which I think has no value. But anyways, you're going to get all these anecdotal stories, So here's what I propose, ladies and gentlemen. I'd say probably, by the time I'm making this video, there were probably, 6,000 views, or between 5,000 and 6,000, I think, on the previous video of this one, right? Now, it's pretty clear that at least, no doubt, okay, assuming demographics are what they are, that 1 out of 5 of all the people that watch that video will at some point come down with cancer. Maybe it is very possible that somebody between the time I made that video and the time that I'm making this video might have been diagnosed with cancer. And maybe, just maybe, that specific person might be one of these pro hardcore Rick Simpson cannabis advocates or whatever. So what I want you to do is not to go see a doctor. Instead, to do whatever Rick Simpson says, make a pound of oil or whatever out of your hash trimmings. I'll even subsidize the thing. I'll make it and send it to you if I have to, right? You'll go on YouTube and make videos in which you're going to track your progress, with your cancer and these cannabis methods to heal yourself. And then we're all going to sit back and we're going to watch you die, all right? And that is going to be a lesson to all of you people out there that think that these cannabis cures for cancer are legitimate, all right? I mean, firstly, I don't think that one person out of the thousands of people that watch that video would take that challenge. None of them. It's all Rick Simpson cures cancer until they get cancer. And then the next thing you know, they're all going to be going to their doctor. That doctor is going to give them a correct diagnosis of what they've got, how to deal with it. They're going to undergo either chemo or radiation therapy, and that is going to up their chances of survival significantly more than taking cannabis. And they know it, and they're going to go there and they're going to do it, every single one of them. Not to say that cannabis cannot assist in the healing process in regards to cancer. I'm not arguing that fact. But cannabis alone is not a good way to deal with cancer, okay? Your survival percentage doesn't really change much, guys. And if you don't believe it, seriously, if you don't believe it, then put your fucking money where your mouth is. With the thousands of people that have watched my videos, and all of you guys, I'm sure, smoke. One of you came down with cancer, and I'm sure one of you guys that did, is one of these super pro cancer cure advocates, okay? So put your money where your mouth is. That's my challenge to you. You won't do it. You guys get cancer, go see a doctor. You know what I'm saying? That will up your chances of survival if indeed you do want to survive. If you want to try to show that cannabis can cure it, come up on YouTube. I'll feature all your videos. I'll make a whole documentary about it. And if I lose, I lose. And if you miracle cures cancer, then I will push to advocate this and have it looked into more. But all these refined methods of cannabis and cannabis as it is as a whole is not something that's too terribly difficult to get a hold of pretty much across the nation. And we have a lot of people that have cancer. And if this thing was as awesome as all of these, hype mongering fucking fools that want to say it is, I'm sure that we would have, it would looked into it a lot more, and would have been able to clearly identify, how cannabis cures cancer, and we'd have a cure for cancer. Can't stop it. This isn't something that the pharmaceutical companies have a control over. Rick Simpson says so. You know what I'm saying? So put your money where your mouth is. I want to see it. That's pretty much all that I have to say about that. Now, this is the time where everyone's going to jump in and start, talking about all the research, and the stuff where they realize that cannabinoids actually killed cancer cells. And this is true. I've actually done a lot of research on a lot of the studies. One in particular took place in Germany, where they were basically doing some in-depth research on cannabinoids, and they did realize that they were able to, kill cancer cells with cannabinoids. But, they considered this research to be in the very early stages. Let me explain to you why. They also found that, in a lot of the cases where they were able to kill cancer cells with cannabinoids, they were also killing regular living cells as well in the very exact same manner that the cells die during chemotherapy. This is what they mean that they're in the very early stages. There are a lot of things out there, guys, that can kill cannabis cells. The problem is keeping the patient alive, the host. You got to be able to kill all of them without killing the person. And that's obviously been very difficult to do. And they're not that terribly close to doing it now. And the research is still going on. And maybe things will change. But I can tell you that whatever it is that is found in cannabis to cure cancer is going to have to be refined, isolated. And, it's very unlikely that anything that we can do at home, dealing with plant form, will be able to create these chemical compounds, because these are very, very advanced chemical processes that have to undertake, and they're not very well understood. Of course, I don't know this, but look, if they had it, they would have it, but they don't. So stop saying that they do. It really pisses me off when people just push propaganda, more propaganda. The whole thing with the father, who is basically, I think, was threatened to get arrested if he tried injecting cannabis into his son, really young son. I forget how old he was, but he decided to go ahead and do it anyways. And miraculously, with intravenous hemp oils or whatever being introduced into his body, The kid made a full recovery, and everyone's like, oh my God, cannabis cures cancer. This is just unbelievable. Unbelievable. But as it turns out, the kid was on full-blown chemotherapy as well, ladies and gentlemen. And again, it is not to say that the cannabis did not have its medicinal value to assist in the recovery and just being able to eat while you're on chemo and do all that. Sure, it played a role, but at the end of the day, you pull chemotherapy out of the equation, the kid is dead. 100% chance he's dead. You pull the cannabis out of the situation, it is quite possible that his percentage of survival goes down. But really, if you were to put yourself in that situation, which one would you rather cut? The cannabis or the chemo? At least if you're planning on surviving this thing. It's not a very difficult choice to make, ladies and gentlemen. Now, moving on to this whole cannabis medicinal movement as a whole and the absolute ridiculousness of it, okay? We have all these things like WeedCon and HempCon and Cannabis Cup High Times Con and God knows. All these huge conventions where people come and, celebrate this quote-unquote medicine. And I just find it absolutely ridiculous that it is the only medicine that is celebrated in such a way. Now, there are tons of other celebrations that take place in, say, the alcohol world. Oktoberfest. I mean, basically anything. Mardi Gras. Any type of celebration is always going to involve weed and alcohol. You know what I'm saying? But yet there are people that still try to push this whole thing that it's a medicine, and, we're going to worship it and shit. And that's fine. Worship it for any reason that you want. But do understand that by continuing to push cannabis as a medicine, and that the only reason why it should be legalized is as a medicine. And keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot of people that are probably watching this video or, sitting at home smoking weed, and they feel so proud that they went to their doctor and was able to make up a really good story to get their card, like all of us have. And now they've been granted special privileges to be able to consume cannabis over those who didn't want to go to that doctor and make up a fake story and pay $50 to be able to use their cannabis. There are those out there who believe that because they did that little extra process, that they have rights and privileges above those who have not. And this is the absolute disgusting underbelly of the medicinal cannabis movement. Is that, yep, it's legal for us if we can either scam the system or maybe we have a legitimate medical reason. But for all the rest of you guys that just want to smoke, fuck you guys. It's illegal for you. Go to jail, who cares? They didn't have their cards. No, ladies and gentlemen, that is not a position that I can, with any integrity, stand behind, and I never, ever will. The medicinal movement is a joke. You know what I'm saying? It is an absolute joke. It should be, and really always has been, a freedom movement. Sure, we became more free in our uses of cannabis because of medicinal legalization. But it doesn't stop here. It needs to be pushed forward. People need the right to choose what they want to put into their bodies. Cannabis should be free to all. I don't get it. I really just can't understand how some people can just stand behind the complete hypocrisy and utter lie that the medicinal movement is. And keep in mind, guys, it's not just people within the cannabis movement that know it's a lie. There are people outside of the cannabis movement that are looking, from the outside looking in, and they know that it's a lie. They're watching it. All these people that have absolutely no legitimate reason to get a card are just walking in and getting their cards and going to dispensaries and buying weed, and, they see how much of a lie it is. And that's why they try to make things so much harder. And what is your argument? That everyone is legitimate? I guess make it more nebulous and subjective what medicinal value really is. Well, if that's the case, then we just got to push for full-blown freedom. Because I don't think there's any arguments about cannabis's effect on society as a whole being negative enough to rob us of those freedoms. There's just no fucking way. And everyone knows it. So why hide behind this crappy bullshit lie of a medicinal cannabis movement? It's a fucking joke. It's a joke. And at the end of the day, it's the users of that cannabis that are the fucking punchline, because they're having their rights to use it taken away from them. And there's actually people within the movement that are fine with it. You know, it's all about privilege. You know, we live in a state that's free. Fuck everybody else. Or, you know, I went to a quack doctor and now I'm legal. But if my other buddy over there, who has absolutely no more or less of a legitimate reason to use it than I do, gets caught with it, he goes to jail. It's disgusting. People that take that attitude disgust me. And I hate being a part of it, guys. I'll tell you straight up. I hate it. It's useful, you know, with the way things are right now, because we have so many enemies and the framework is there. But if it keeps going in this direction, if we don't shift gears and take this to a full-blown freedom-based initiative, the corporations will come in. They're going to give you your fucking medicine, ladies and gentlemen. They're going to give it to you. You're going to get it in your pills. You have no right to complain because it's a medicinal movement. So here's your medicine in a pill. And in all the plant form and the entire culture that goes with it is going to be demonized, thrown in jail, and everyone's happy. That's the way it's heading if we keep going in this direction. So again, ladies and gentlemen, wake the fuck up. Freedom is a good thing. We should all be free to do what we want to do. And that's all I have to say, guys. Thanks a lot for listening.